Hassan and the Magical Paper. Journey to a World Without Fire. Hassan was a boy who loved to ask why and how, more than anything else. One rainy afternoon, while exploring the attic, he found a piece of shimmering golden paper tucked inside a dusty book about history. As soon as his fingers touched the cool, metallic surface, the paper began to glow with a soft, pulsing light that filled the room. Suddenly, the attic floor seemed to melt away. The golden paper stretched and expanded, turning into a swirling tunnel of light. Hassan felt weightless as he was pulled into the center of the glow. He gripped the paper tight, wondering where his curiosity would take him this time. When the light faded, Hassan found himself standing on a rocky ledge. The air was biting and cold, and the ground was dusted with frost. He pulled his hoodie tight around him. Everything was gray and silent. There were no streetlights, no humming heaters, and no smell of cooking food. Hassan followed a narrow path until he reached the mouth of a dark, damp cave. Inside, he saw a group of people huddled together. They wore thick furs, but they were all shivering. There were no light bulbs here, only the dim, blue light of the snowy afternoon reflecting off the cave walls. A young girl named Larka noticed Hassan and stepped forward. Her breath came out in little white clouds. She looked at Hassan's bright blue hoodie with wonder, but she looked very tired. She pointed to the back of the cave, where her family sat in the shivering silence. Larka held up a piece of raw, cold meat. She tried to take a bite, but it was tough and freezing. She sighed and put it down. Without heat, even eating was a difficult chore. Hassan realized that in this world, people didn't just lack light, they lacked the warmth needed to make life comfortable. As the sun began to set, a deep fear filled the cave. An elder named Tura watched the shadows grow longer. Without a fire, the night was a place of danger and freezing cold. Tura knelt by a small pile of dried moss and twigs, holding two special gray stones in his hands. Tura began to strike the stones together. Clack, clack, clack. For a long time, nothing happened. He worked until his arms were tired, his face set in deep concentration. He knew that the survival of his tribe depended on the tiny sparks that lived inside the rocks. Suddenly, a bright spark landed right in the center of the moss. Tura leaned forward and blew very gently, his breath acting like a soft wind. A thin ribbon of smoke curled upward, followed by a tiny, flickering orange tongue of flame. The cave was suddenly filled with a golden glow. The people cheered as the fire grew. Larka sat near the flames, her face finally turning pink from the heat. Hassan watched as they used the fire to cook their food and chase away the shadows. He saw how Tura carefully moved a few stones to keep the fire from spreading, showing respect for the powerful flame. The people cheered as the fire grew. Larka sat near the flames, her face finally turning pink from the heat. Hassan watched as they used the fire to cook their food and chase away the shadows. He saw how Tura carefully moved a few stones to keep the fire from spreading, showing respect for the powerful flame. Hassan blinked and found himself back in his living room. His father, Amari, was checking the batteries in their smoke detector. "Fire is a wonderful tool, Hassan," Amari said, "but we must always be careful with it. We never leave candles alone, and we always have a plan." Hassan nodded, understanding now just how precious and powerful the gift of fire really was.